Hey everyone, doing tonight? God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Amy Jill Spirit Divine. I'm here to give you some news and a word on tonight. We're gonna talk about LGBTQI. Improving the lives and rights. For them. To have the right. To their freedom. To their life. To they all are human. They should have. Uh, they shouldn't have to ever face discrimination and live in fear, because of who they are and who they love. So I have to follow in law, that will protect them. Equality Act, this is a bill in the United States Crime Conference, if they pass, to rights the Act of 1964, to prohibit discrimination on the basis sexual orientation and gender identity, and intersex status in areas including the public area, accommodation, and fertility, and school and education. Federal program, employment and housing and community. So this is all under Equality Act. To EA, purpose of the act is to legally protect individual from discrimination. So this seems like it's a good one. The bill proposal. I request that Congress pass this bill for LGBTQ. It's under Equality Act. So I also have another law. What also may help. American Civil and Liberty Unit. It's ACLU. It's protect the civil liberty. And rights for all the American. In court. Across the country. So the issue with ACLC. They deal with capital punishment, lesbian and gay rights, immigration and rights, prisoners' rights. So this is all under, you know, this is all under ACLU law, unit. They also, I put this out a couple of days ago. They also had banned the drag queen for them performing. I had requests, that they unban drag queen performance. So two law I have named for y'all. Civil Rights Act, prohibit discrimination. Equality Act, American Civil Liberty Unit. Like these two here, pretty much you can look into. So those two laws will protect you. Education, public area, workplace, and drag show performance. So they're trying to take, y'all freedom from y'all. Trying to take y'all freedom from y'all. So many of y'all have careers. Many of y'all, most of y'all is a public figure. Many of y'all is in school or either in college. So many are actors. So y'all have pretty much good jobs. And many of you dress as a drag queen and you perform. So you're just trying to make a living for yourself. Just trying to make a living for yourself. And if they're just trying to make a life. Y'all just trying to make a life for yourself. You're trying to have your own career. You're trying to have your own life and minding your own business and just planning your career. So why are they trying to take y'all freedom from y'all? So I request, that this bill Equality Act to pass. And I also request that drag queen be unbanned. That's the news on the LGBTQ. So I will come back to that. So I'm gonna talk to you about this word. Talk to you about this word. Asaphat. Asaphat is a judge. So you're gonna come from Judges chapter 10, verse 6 through 18. So the Israelites did even in the eyes of the Lord again. So they served Balaam's Ashtoreth, in the God of Abraham, in the God of Ammonites, and the Philistines. So these are the people that they're serving as they as God that they created. So Israelites forsake the Lord and no longer serve him again. So worshiping false gods, when God told them multiple times, do not serve other gods. So the Israelites worshiping false gods, controlling over the land. So all that false god they create is taking over the land. So the Israelites depend on a successful, for survival, by this false god. Now they worship false god instead of the one and true God, thinking they have everything covered, but by they doing what they doing in the land, they think everything is all well, and they're thinking this everything is all well, and they're serving these kind of gods, so they feel like they don't need God. They feel like they don't need God until they're being oppressed, so they can't be easily become manipulated, by these false gods because they under the Ammonites, Canaanites, they under all these people that worship him, so they feel like they don't need God, so the Israelites build their success of false gods, you know, and their false God is powerless. So money, pressure, success, anything that comes between us and our relationship with God are false gods. You know, God don't care who it is. He don't care who it is. We're not supposed to put anything, above him. Oh, that's false God. So God became angry with them, and he sold them into the hands of the Philistines. And the Ammonites, that year shattered and crushed them. So they're gonna be in oppressed. They're gonna oppress them so hard, so they ain't gonna worry about keep serving all that false God. They're gonna be so busy crying out to God. So now God has sold them. They made him so mad he sold them to the Philistines and the Ammonites, for their wickedness. So the Israelites had been oppressed for 18 years. God sold them to them, to the Philistines, Ammonites. So they've been under them for 18 years. That's what they wanted to do, so God gave it to them. So for 18 years, on the east side of the Jordan, in the Galilean land of the Amorites. So the Ammonites, who the Israelite is under, they crossed the Jordan to fight against Judah, Benjamin, and Aram, and now all this activity that's going on, Israel is in distress. Cause see, they got to be fighting, and they know they ain't got God on their side. They know they gonna be defeated. So now they wants to go and try to fight another team, or over there in Israel. They don't want to participate, because they know they cannot win without God. So now all of a sudden they're in distress. They're in distress. So once again, the Israelites suffer for many years, for 18 years, before they give up their false gods. And now they're in distress, but not calling on their God, not calling on the God they created, who they done left the only true God, so they're not calling on that. I don't know when they're going to realize that you keep worshiping something that you can't depend on, that cannot help you. So 18 years before they give up the false gods. And now they're in distress. But now they're not calling on their God, but calling on the one and true God that they done left behind. That they forgot. So they're at the end of their rope. They came there at the end of their rope, just for a moment. So God, was their last resort. And that's a lot of time. We cannot always make God our last resort. Until our research run out. And then, okay, let me call on God. They were supposed to call on God the first time, and they weren't supposed to worship other gods. So God was their last resort. When they're at the end of their rope, and the Ammonites trying to fight the other people. They don't want to get into a battle because they know they cannot win a battle without God. So much unnecessary suffering take place because we don't call on God until we use up all our research and then we call God. So we use up all our research. We have nobody else to call on. Then you want to call on God. Then they create all these false gods. But their false God cannot save them when they're in trouble. So their only research is then that is powerful. Knowing your God is powerless, you know, they're gonna call on God. But I understand how they want to keep forgetting about the the mighty God and keep on want to worship something. When you get in trouble, you can't call your God. You have to call your mighty God. So the unnecessary suffering take place because we don't call on God until we use up our research and then we call God. God is our research. God is our source. You know, God God can fix any problem that we have. He can fix any problem that we have. He is our source. He is our resource. You know, we are a lot of time we look everywhere else for research. You see who can do this and who can do that. And all the while God can do. If God created this world. So what you can think? He can handle all our problems. Now we will turn to God. We're supposed to turn to God first. Now He has the necessary research to meet every kind of problem to come to pass. God took care of the Israelites. Any problem they had, God translated to Moses and it took care of it. So now, I guess they realized, that the God they created cannot help them. So now the Israelites, they cried out to the Lord. They're steady, they sin. They telling God, we sin and we forsake you, God. We serve the Babylon, out of God. So now they crying and whining out to God. Now they commit let God know, okay, we serve other gods, we sin, but God just forgive us. So God said, who they all oppress you, if you cry for them. So God paying tough love. God giving them tough love right now. They forsake God. Now they're crying out to God. So God is telling them, okay, they oppress you, and you crying out for help. I have not I had not saved you from their hands. God said, I'm not saving you from their hands. So now He paying God about to play some tough love with them. I have not saved you. So God telling them, in other words, they're trying to tell God they're oppressing them. They're crying out to God. So God said, I heard y'all cry. I saw y'all being oppressed. But I choose not to answer y'all. So I saw, God said, I heard y'all crying. I saw you being oppressed. And I refuse not to save you. God always goes to their rescue. They always say, I'm going to change. We're going to do this. We're going to serve you. And it just be for a moment. And then they go back to their own ways again. So God refused this time. He playing tough love with them. He said, I will not save you. Y'all forsake me. So God said, God said, I will no longer, save you from the hands of the God that God said, go back to your God that you created. Cry out to Him. I want to see if we're going to respond back to you. Cry out to the God that you created. So let them say, so they cried out. They cried out to God, and God told them, you go cry out to the God that you created. The God that you had chosen. So let them save you. Let them save you. And when you are in trouble, God playing tough love. God said no this time. He said, I'm no longer going to save you. So now God giving them tough love to the Israelites who forsake Him. And now the Israelites know. They know they mess up. They know they mess up. Every time. I don't understand. They keep bowing down and serving these gods, but then every time they get in trouble, every time they get oppressed, somebody oppressed them, they want to call out to God. You call out to God, the only true God that can save you. So now the Israelites know that they mess up. So God do to us. Now, see, they know they mess up. So they're telling God, God, do whatever you want to us, but please save us right now. Do whatever you want to us, God, but just right now, at this moment, please save us. Now they're pleading with God right now. They're pleading with God right now, and they got rid of all their false gods. They got rid of everything, among them, and they served the Lord. They're gonna serve the Lord, I guess, for a moment. So now God could not bear their misery no more, because they were just begging. They were just begging to God, like, I couldn't take your misery no more. So the Israelites always seem to forget, that God, when all is well, they feel like they don't need God. And see, we have to be the opposite. When everything is well, everything is good, we still got to look up to God. We still got to praise Him. We still got to pray. We still got to give Him the glory. Because God did wonderful things for the Israelites. Don't think because everything is well, you feel like you don't need it, and then when everything is falling apart, then you begging for God forgiveness. So the Israelite always seem to forget that God, when all was well, God was rejected. God was rejected by them, who He saved from slavery, and He placed them in a land. But they let the Canaanites, the Ammonites, they let them took over the land. Let them took over the land. So when they carried out God, when they cried out, when they cried out, God first had answered and told them no. And this is the first time I heard God told them no. When they did cry out to God, God said, no, I will no longer save you. God had given them tough love. So when they carried out God, first, God had answered, and His answer was no. So until they got rid of all their false gods and served the real God. Get rid of all that fake stuff, and come serve the real God. Now first God had to give them tough love and told them no. Now, this is my first time hearing God say no. I no longer will save you. So this is a lesson. We should strive to stay close to God. I know I do. We have to strive to stay close to God. And that's what the Israelites did. All that stuff God did for the Israelites, they want to stay close to God. Because they know the Canaanites, the Ammonites, they're about to go out there and start fighting war. They know they were gonna want the Israelites to come. They didn't want to go. Because they know without God they could not win no battle. So they wanted to stay home and cry out to God to save them before they had to go out to battle. So first God had to give them tough love. Now this is a lesson that we should strive to stay close to God. God is rather than being far away from God like the Israelite was. They had to beg to get God back. You know, uh, to have God close to you. We don't want to be far away from God. We want to stay close as possible. Because you don't want to have to, every time you go around, you get face down on the ground, praying and begging. They had to beg to get God back. So the Ammonites, they were called to arm and camp in Galilee, in the Israelite assembly and camp in Mizpah. So the leader of the people of Galilee said, each of them, whoever, would take lead in attacking the Ammonites. So the Israelite is under the Ammonites. So then you got this leader Galilee. He wants them, whoever attack, the Ammonite. I'm gonna make you a leader over my town, over my city. So we'll be the head over his city. They'll live in his city. So now this is a leader of Galilee has stated if anyone attack the Ammonites, now he will let them be the head over his city. So Ammon, he's the offspring of Lot's daughter. Remember Lot on Abraham on Nephilim? So he is one of the Ammonites. And that's one of that Lot's daughter son. So we see the Israelites serve false gods again. and was oppressed for 18 years and called out to God. When their resources had went dry, they had nowhere else to turn. So then they turned and cried out to God for help. And God told them no. So they had to beg and beg. They had said, whatever, you could do whatever you want to us. But please, God, at this moment, God, save us. So they had to beg to get God back. God had to give them tough love. Because every time I look around, they don't want to listen to God. They want to keep serving that stuff. And then every time somebody attack them or wants to oppress them, they don't turn to the false gods that they created. They call the one and true mighty God that can save them. So why keep on serving something that's not feeding you the purpose? So God had to give them tough love. And he said, I don't know when the Israelites will realize that the God they tried to serve cannot save them. They call to God for their last result. And that's a lot of us do that. We not supposed to God wait till the last soul, to call God. God is our source. God is our resource. God can make things happen. God can make the impossible happen. So don't never think that God cannot help. Every time something good happened, don't think you did on your own. It was God. When you're struggling, you're trying to make ends meet and this and that, then all of a sudden good things happen. You got it done. That wasn't you. That was God. God called his research. That's why I said God is the research. They went to all kind of research, and when their research went dry, then they wants to call God. But we got to call God first. Because God is the research. God can give research, call research and get stuff done. God speak to prophets. And he get prophets to do stuff. He get angels to do stuff. God got research and he'll get the job done. You know, we have we have to let God be our first result. When we got problems, we got situations, we struggling, we got to let God be our first priority. Let God be our first results. We will see how long they will serve God. Because see, right now they're serving God. So we're going to see how long they're going to serve God. Because they get manipulated, when they're in that land, under other people that serving God. That's why God already know everybody in that land was serving false gods. That's why God said, drive everybody out that land. You're going to be corrupted. God wanted them to continue being a holy nation. But then they constantly keep on getting corrupted because they done let people stay in that land when they were supposed to drive everybody out. God get them that land and they're not even owning the land. They keep letting people run them out of the land that God gave them. So this about this judge. That God has sold them to the Ammonites, the Philistines. God sold them to them. They start oppressing them. Start oppressing them so bad till they called out to God. God was their last research. When God supposed to be our first research. Don't never think God can't get no research to get stuff done. God is our research. So we also talk about LGBTQ. They're trying to take their freedom from them. But I'm here to let them know, that our, equality act, you will be protected under. And I request that equality act, pass a conference, pass this test, pass this bill, for this situation here. So equality act, protect you, for all kinds of stuff that I had named, for your public, for school, it protect for all kinds of stuff, and then most of y'all, it's a public figure. Y'all have good careers. Y'all have a life that you live in, that you don't need no one trying to take your freedom from y'all. So many of y'all's actors, y'all have a good career. Performers, y'all have to make a living for yourself. Y'all don't need no one taking your freedom from y'all. When you're on it, minding your business and trying to make ends meet. And I already had because for like 3 or 4 days, they was banning, the drag queen performance, and I requested it be unbanned. So y'all have a life that y'all try to live also, and they just trying to make your life, for yourself, you're not doing no harm, why try to take your freedom from so I request that this bill equal to act, pass this bill, request that drag queen be unbanned, so that's the proposal of to LGBTQ, so I request that they continue living their life, but their freedom don't be taken away from them. They're not doing nobody no harm. They're working in the industry. Some of them is figures of public figure. Actors. Some of them have real good careers. So we talk about this judge. We also talk about how the Israelites got so comfortable and they constantly serving other gods. And they just forgot about God because everything was well, everything was going good. And you have to realize when everything is going good, you still have to pray, you still have to be connected with God. You have to strive to stay close to God, not be far away like the Israelites. They was far away from God, but they had to pray and they had to beg God. God, you just do anything to us, God. Do anything to us. But right now at this moment, God, please save us. They had to go through all that because they had got far away from God. You have to stay strive. You have to stay close to God. Even when things is going good, you have to stay close to God. When things is falling apart, and you feel like God is you don't know where God at. You got to keep on still praying. Keep on still praying. And then that's another thing. When things falling apart, you might get mad. You might get mad and you might want to get far away, but don't do that. Don't do that. You have to stay close to God in hard time, trouble time, suffering time, good time. You still have to stay connected with God. Because a lot of time, He will stand still and be quiet when you're constantly crying out to Him. Because sometimes God will be trusting your faith. He will trust your faith. He gonna sit around and see how long, you're gonna curse me. How long it gonna take you to serve brother God? How long it gonna take you to go your way and do it your way? He sit around all that long time with joy. To also not trust your faith most of the time, just to see if the devil gonna do more than when he allowed it. See, the devil gotta go through God. God allows so much for the devil to do, and He gonna watch and see if the devil gonna do more than what he required for the devil to do. And at the same time, He will test your faith. He gonna see how long, and we see that the Israelites they quickly, be turning away from God, so fast. God can give them some water, and then the next 5 hours they worshiping other gods. They move quickly and turn away from God. But we have to, and that's another thing. They wait till all their research had went dry, and they didn't know what else to do. Okay, I don't know what else to do, but let's call God. And we have to let God be our first priority. Let God be our only source, because God can take care of research. God talks to a lot of His prophets and everything. God is the research. You know how to get researches done for you. When things all of a sudden happen, it's not us doing it on our own. God has got researches and have them to come to you. All of a sudden you got to check in your mailbox. All of a sudden you got a gift at your door that you ordered that you thought it never was gonna come. That's God doing. And we have to realize that God is our only source. When you got problems, you got situations, you be suffering, we go to God. He know how to do the impossible. I don't know how the Israelites keep on forgetting. So that's all the news and the word I have for you on tonight. Y'all have a blessed night, and I'll see y'all on the next video.